Welcome, listener, to another episode of Second Cup. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's me, Tim Heller, your host of Second Cup. Today's guest is my friend, the man with the golden voice and the golden smile, Eli Harris. Eli is a U.S. military veteran and an award-winning actor and voice actor, and you will hear why the second he starts to speak, who has voiced projects for Disney, ESPN, Skyrim, and is starting to take over as a go-to voice in the gaming industry. If you've been listening to the show and enjoying it, I'd like to invite you to show support for Second Cup in any of the following ways. First is by sharing episode links on social media and tagging @TimHellerCreative. Second is by rating, leaving reviews, and subscribing in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're consuming podcasts. And finally, if you want to support financially, you can Venmo @TimHellerCreative or reach out to me via email at tim@timhellercreative.com to discuss sponsoring one or several episodes. Any and all of these actions mean a ton and help boost the show's visibility. And any financial support is going directly into sending some gifts to my guests and hiring someone to help me manage the boatload of content I have so I can properly promote them all. Now, top off your beverage, get comfy, and enjoy this episode of Second Cup. Good morning, Eli Harris.
Mr. Tim Heller.
How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, I mean, you are a busy man in general. We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
How are you?
Been with you?
It's things have been good. It's been a nice kind of more flexible week this week after a crazy 5 weeks, and I'm just happy to be here. It's kind of nice to have just like a week to take back for myself and regroup and reorganize.
I guess our week flip-flopped because are we recording?
Yeah. I always start the recording right away, just we can jump right in.
Okay, great. I guess it kind of flip-flopped because when we had talked, directly last time, you were super busy and my week had been kind of, slow, So last week, this week has been great, man.
That's awesome. I know. I mean, so I would love for us to jump right in, just because you have so much going on and lots to talk about, and I want us to fit in as much as we can in our short time period that we have. So if you could just give us like I call it a quick sip of just kind of a quick overview of your background, who you are, like what brought you here. And all the layers that are Eli Harris.
Sure. So I got started in theater at 6 years old. My parents got me involved with it because I have ADHD, and they wanted to find a way to channel my energy. So I did theater and martial arts, and
awesome.
I did theater a little bit in school, and I kind of got away from it when I got older because I got more into sports than video gaming, heavy into gaming. When the NES came out, it was a wrap, So yeah, I got into gaming, and then I went into the military. I am a proud Army veteran, served my country.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And then when I got out, worked 9 to 5, different places. I actually ended up working at an architecture firm, and part of me was still missing. I feel like there was something still missing with me. And I talked with my wife and said, I think I want to get back into, acting. So I did film and television for about 20 years. Got some pretty solid projects and transitioned into VO about 3 years ago. And, people find it amazing. Like, wow, you've done that much in 3 years? Like, yeah, I'm a grinder. But yeah, 3 years I've been doing it.
It also
for 3
doesn't
years.
hurt that you have just one of the most beautiful sounding voices that's out there right now. I mean, there's a reason why you're working as much as you're working. And outside of just your sheer work ethic and talent, you know how to use this incredible instrument that you have.
Thank you, Tim.
And you have really put in the work and also have the personality that people want to work with as well, which helps.
Wow, Tim, I appreciate that, especially coming from you because you're such a happy guy. Like every time every time I see you and I look at your stuff, I'm like, gosh, that dude is happy. Like he needs to bottle that and just sell it somewhere because
It's all up front. I'm dying on the inside. No, I'm just kidding. It's
yeah. I mean, you have this smile, man, that is just really engaging. And you know, if someone's having a rough day and they go to Tim Heller's page, it's like, oh, that's better.
Oh,
you know?
Thanks so much, man.
Lemon water.
Yes. Very important, especially with how busy you are. So I would love to hear a little bit more about kind of your journey in the military. What made you feel like you wanted to join the military, and even how that's affected your work now, and whether those like how that's informed kind of your TV, film, and VO journey. If you are okay digging into that.
Yeah. So my first of all, I was adopted, and my adopted dad was in the military, and then one of my brothers, my adopted brother, he went into the military. And so it was one of those things where I thought it'd be kind of cool to do, you know. Plus, you know, seeing Top Gun and different movies like that as a kid, it's like it made going to the military seem kind of dope.
Yeah.
So that, and you know, some choices that I made, and I don't mind, you know, sharing this because I go and talk to troubled teens. You know, I'll go to group homes and stuff and talk to troubled teens. I got into some stuff as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
No rhyme or reason really, other than just lack of discipline. My adopted parents were great. You know, I wasn't abused, anything like that. They probably spoiled me, if anything. But, you know, I chose to hang with certain crowds, and, you know, I would get into things, things that I wasn't proud of. And, you know, I got to a point, you know, I needed a change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Virginia,
Okay.
Lynchburg, Virginia. That's my hometown. That's where I'm originally from. And so I got to a point when initially I got sent into a boot camp when I was 15 because I was really like just never disrespectful to my parents, nothing like that, but just outside of it, you know, whether if it was getting into fights, just stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And after going through the boot camp, which had, you know, it was kind of like a therapy because we lived out in the woods. All right, so I tell you this, it was called New Dominion. We lived out in the woods, and we literally had to cut down trees, skin them, notch them, and build our tents and everything that we lived in. We cook, ate outside, and every evening we would have group sessions where we would sit around a fire pit and express our feelings. Now, for me, I thought that was stupid initially because I'm like, express my feelings.
That's
like,
on
you
brand
know,
for a 15-year-old.
Yeah. But I was sitting here and I listened to, you know, there were different camps, and we was in the, my group was called Panaka. They're all indigenous named camps. And so I would hear the different guys talk and express how they felt, blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening to this, and it was hard for me to open up, you know. I eventually did, and it was the best thing in my life to happen to me, because I was able to start to identify why I had such anger issues, you know, and a lot of it had to do because I couldn't understand why my biological parents didn't want me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so once I started unpacking all of that, it helped me get to a place of maybe this is why certain things would trigger me, or maybe this is why certain things would cause me to, you know, go off and punch somebody or whatever. And I think that was the best thing to happen to me. And then after that, I got out and went into the military. I got out of New Dominion, I think, I was 16, 17. It was a year and a half program. Finished high school. After I got out of high school, I went into the military. The military helped a whole lot as far as discipline. It helped me to see a bigger purpose than myself. We did a lot of peacekeeping missions when I was in the military, and you know, it just kind of puts things in a perspective. You know, when you're from a smaller town like I am, and you get to go to Germany and, you know, places like this, and you get to see what goes on, you know, firsthand, like in Bosnia where I was at, it kind of puts things in perspective for you.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's what caused me to go into the military. And even then, even then, I was always animated. One of my battle buddies from when I was in the Army actually commented on one of my posts and was like, I remember when we would have days off and you would go to it's the tent that you would go to. I can't remember what we call it in the military now, but for R&R. And they had an arcade machine in there. They had Samurai Showdown 3 in there. And I would always be in there playing Samurai Showdown 3. So I was gaming, even when I was in the Army.
Yeah, you got to get your fix.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was getting injections of games. Yeah, gaming injections.
That's so cool. That's wild. And what was your job primarily while you were serving?
I was an engineer.
Oh, cool. What kind of an engineer?
I blew stuff up.
Oh, right.
Yes, I was a 12 Bravo, so I was doing demo, blowing things up.
Yeah. Oh, man, that should be the name of your LLC because you're blowing up the voiceover industry right now. Look at that.
I like that. I like that. Good wordplay. Look at you, man.
I know, right? I'll take 10% commission.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool, Eli. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your life. I mean, we've had, for people listening, Eli and I have had conversations over the past couple of years since you got started, or towards the beginning of when you got started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been awesome to get to know you and to keep learning about your life. And I just appreciate you sharing that chapter in your life. It's really interesting. And I feel like it's important for people to hear.
It is, because you never know who else is going through stuff like that. And, before that's not something, because I'm a private person in general. I don't share anything, I don't share my family, my kids, my wife, none of that stuff. But certain things, I don't mind sharing because I feel that we go through things to help other people. Yeah. That we don't have gifts. Like your smile is a gift. That might be something that's easy for you to do because you do it all the time. Some people, it's hard to smile, for them to smile. I had people that tell me I look like I want to fight somebody in my pictures. And I'm like, and they'll tell me, like, smile. I was like, I am smiling. You're like I'm smiling. What do you want me to do? But that is a gift. Your smile is a gift.
Thanks, man. I think it's part of the package of coming from the Midwest.
Could be.
Born and it's just plastered on.
like the Mr. Potato Head smile to just stick it on.
It is. We just swap it out. It's because mine got super glued on. I can't take it off.
Hey, it served you well in your business.
Hey, thank you.
Hey,
thank you.
That's what sends the dollars your way.
Your guy next door, your friendly neighborhood guy next door.
The friendly Tim Heller.
Oh, yes. So speaking of video games, with everything, so growing up, loving video games, in the Army, still finding a way to play video games. And now video games have started to play a huge part in your life again, not just from a consumer standpoint, but from you voicing stuff and starting to really take over. Can you share just how you got started in voiceover in general, but then how you really found your way into this corner of the market that you have really started to work a lot in?
So I got into VO because I wanted to do gaming and animation, and not knowing that gaming and animation are like the hardest ones to do in VO. Like, it is a real tough nut to crack. So I got a lot of commercial work, promo work, obviously. And it really started with a couple of working with a couple of indie devs. And I don't consider myself the best marketer in the world because it's just, I'm not a real big social media person.
Well, it's weird and uncomfortable to say, like, hey, look at me. This is what I do. I don't like it. I just kind of have forced myself to do it.
Yeah. And I guess my way of marketing matches my personality. I don't ever post anything unless it's work. I don't post about anything that's coming up or nothing. Like, when I have something that's tangible and that I can showcase, I post that up to put a highlight on the actual brand that I'm working with, and then myself, and that's just the way I naturally am. I'm always, speaking on those who have been a blessing to me, and then I put myself within that layer. But to get back to your question, so I started working with some indie devs on some indie games, not real big titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found a way to magnify the project. Building relationships, to be honest with you, I would say building relationships is the cornerstone of why I'm getting as much as I am and why, it's blown up for me. Is I genuinely care about the projects that I work on.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes personal for me because I've always wanted to do this. Acting on screen is one thing. I love doing that because it's a total rush to go from playing a drug dealer to playing an attorney to playing an immigrant, like to play so many different characters on screen. It's mind blowing. But getting behind this mic right here, it's like a whole different energy, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can get in here and I'm like this crazy monster, 1 minute, and then I'm like this regular guy, like you said, the guy next door.
It's the gig. The first time I took a class and it wasn't even like I wasn't in a booth or anything. It was just up in front of like a group of people in New York, and I'd read copy. It was for like a commercial piece of copy. I was like, oh shit, this is the gig. I love this because it doesn't matter how you look or what people think, or are expecting you to sound like or do or whatever it is. All this other stuff that comes with theater and TV work. It's just you, what you want to do.
Yeah. And so I took those smaller projects and magnified them. Built relationships. And something that a lot of people don't understand is that indie devs are also connected to other entities. Gamers talk. These game devs, they talk to each other. They may be working on different titles, but they all talk with each other. And when you've established yourself with them as a person who is not just talented, talent is great. Availability is the biggest key. Promptness, over delivering. I go above and beyond for my clients. And that allowed me to get connected to other game devs because this Eli Harris guy, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, I'm getting an email. Hey, I got a game that's coming up. I think you'd be great for it, blah, blah, blah. That's how that chain reaction started for me. And then I connected with people in different organizations like Black in Gaming and, different organizations like that. Presented myself to them. They liked what they saw and made me a big part of Black in Gaming. So now I am the VO person for Black in Gaming, and not just as far as voicing their content, but I am the representative of VO for them. And that's something that's going to be announced here in the coming months or so. So
Congratulations.
I will be the VO entity for them. Thank you. And I'm allowed to say it, it's just they're planning to do a bigger announcement about it.
Yeah, and by the time this episode goes live, it sounds like it might be around a similar time. So we'll try to plan that out. But that's amazing, Eli. Congratulations. And so for other Black artists who want to get involved in the gaming industry or get involved directly with Black in Gaming, how can they get a hold of them, and like who's a good person to contact or a good website for them to explore?
Black in Gaming, let me look because I never go to Black in Gaming's website. I think the best thing to do is to reach out to them really through Facebook. But then they'll end up coming to me and saying, hey, this person, that person, blah 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 is interested in VO, and then I'll take a look. So really, I would say probably just hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as Black in Gaming goes, to get into gaming, I think a lot of times people want to go for the big fish first. And, there's nothing wrong with having your sight set on that. It is hard. It's hard. Like, you're not going to just go to Activision Blizzard and be like,
Excuse me, sir, can I please be in a game?
Yeah, I would like to voice Call of Duty. Is that okay? It's
like when your relatives find out that you're an actor and they're like, oh, have you thought about doing the Netflix?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
God, that's revolutionary. No, I didn't think about doing the Netflix.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I worked on The Departed with Matt Damon, DiCaprio, all of them, right? And Matt Damon has got to be, he's probably the dopest actor that I've worked with and talked to. He is like really the guy next door. Like he has that type of personality like you. Very talkative. So we were talking about martial arts because he had to train in Kali and a couple of other different styles for the Bourne Identity. Because I was curious, like, what discipline did you study for the Bourne Identity? Because it's so fluid. He said, well, I studied Kali, and, he talked about a couple other things. So we're just in this dope conversation. He said, you know what you need to do? You should talk to Ben Affleck. You need to give Ben a call and holler at him because you two are so much alike. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll just phone up Ben Affleck because, I got it like that. So,
I'll just call Benjamin now. Hey, Siri.
Yeah, I'll hit Ben up and tell him that we talk. Yeah, I never got Ben's phone number. But
that's cool. That's kind of
I get that
story.
too, like because I did a film with Alicia Keys, and I'll have people around the way to this day that will still say, "Hey, tell Alicia I said what's up." I'm like, I don't talk to Alicia.
Yeah, that's not how
we
this
did
works.
a film together, and that's it. I know her manager. I don't know her like that. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's so funny. Well, the other big category that you had spoken about, like wanting to get involved with, is animation, and I'd love to talk about, and in the same vein as Black creators, I'd love to talk about Broken Beat, because you brought me into this, or you introduced me to Richard a couple years ago. It was before we moved to Texas, and it was at the very beginning of him kind of animating some stuff, and I did like one of the villains and a couple of other smaller voices, but. I'd love to hear more about Broken Beat and your involvement with that and with you and your son and just kind of where that is, what it is, and how people can find out more.
Yeah, so I met Richard. I had seen the in the Black Animators group. He had posted something and I had reached out to him. Now the irony is he was not taking anybody at that time because he had some people on board and it didn't work out and it left a bad taste in his mouth. I'm one of those people where I'll reach out to you and I figure, what do I have to lose? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you tell me no, I haven't lost anything, so I'm just going to go for mines. And he hit me back and was like, yo, I love your voice. Like, your voice is real dope. And I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And so he said, I got 2 characters I think you'd be great for. I'm actually going to play the antagonist and the protagonist. So I'm voicing 2. And so he said, do you know any other talented voice artists? And I said, I have a small Rolodex of people that I trust that are super talented. So of course I turned them on to you. I turned them on to Marquise Moore, Surah Sarai. If I'm saying her name right, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but we all know who Surah is. And Rob Maria, and I think there's a couple other people, but I turned them on to some great talent because all these people are great talents. All of y'all are great talents, and I know that you are reliable talents. And I think that's something that really sticks out for me. Is not only are they talented, are they reliable, and everyone that I deal with is reliable. And people that I'll personally vouch for. So I sent it to him, and of course he hits me back and is like, whoa. Like all of these people are great. He said, I love that dude, Tim. Like, he really likes you, man.
Man.
He really likes you. Not
That's
that he
so
don't like
sweet.
everybody else, but yeah, so that's how that project started. And I liked what they were doing. I liked what the project was about because I'm all about, the arts and martial arts.
Can you tell us more of, so for listeners who don't know, it's a primarily Black anime series.
Yes, it's a primarily Black anime series. Yes, and he wanted to make sure. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
No,
go.
No, okay.
What you have to say is so much more valuable.
No, and the thing about it is he wants to make sure that every character is properly represented. So with the Asian female in there, he didn't want someone that wasn't Asian voicing someone Asian.
Yeah,
that's why I sent him Surah, because he wants everybody properly represented in this anime, which I think is a great thing. You know, that even though it is a black anime, he wants to make sure that everybody is culturally represented properly.
Yeah. And for anybody who hasn't seen this on TikTok yet, the Broken Beat TikTok channel is pretty popular. It's got a couple thousand, almost 10,000 something or other. I'll pull it up, but I
don't have TikTok.
But yeah, I mean, they've got a GoFundMe. He's got a GoFundMe going now, and I think I'm pulling it up, but if Broken Beat, they have 8,381 followers right now. And so if you go to Broken Beat the anime, and then with underscores all underneath this, I'll include this in the description of the episode too, along with your website and all of that. But you'll see that it's really high quality stuff that's been able to be done so far.
He's got people from the Dragon Ball Z team that's working on it. So he has some people that are established working on his project. That's why it looks so good. And you mentioned my son. So my son, I didn't know that he wanted to do VO until he told me. So I sit down and I have talks with my kids. And, the one that's in Broken Beat, he just turned 10. And I'll ask them, what do you want to do with your life? And some people may say, oh, that's a lot to ask a kid that's little. No, it's not. Because you want to get the wheels turning early for them. Yeah. My kids are advanced. They're homeschooled. They're advanced. And so we have conversations with them. We don't treat them like they're a kid, With certain things, of course, we don't have adult conversations with them. Yeah. But, and I asked them, have you thought about what you want to do, when you grow up, when you're older, that way we can map out a plan and how we get there. My oldest son, he's heavy into cars. This boy will tell you about every car, everything, detail, down to the freaking start date of the company. Like, it's crazy. My 9-year-old said, I want to do VO, I want to do voiceovers just like you, Dad. Because he thinks, all of my kids think it's cool that I do it, but he's really fascinated when he sees me on TV, or we're playing a game like Jitsu Squad or Starship Troopers, or, and he hears me in it. I want to do VO like you. I said, okay.
Did your heart just melt?
It did, because
I would have wept if I had a child and they were like, I want to do this just like you, Dad. I would be like, okay.
Not quite, but it felt good. And the thing is with this one, so there's a difference between my two boys. The oldest one, the 11-year-old, he is a very analytical person. I am to a certain extent, but he's very detail oriented, precise. He's not the creative as far as the voiceover stuff goes. He's creative with other things. The one that just turned 10, he is a clone of me. This dude is super animated with everything. And so I said, if this is something that you seriously want to do, it's going to take some work. You're going to have to show me that you want to do it. That means I'm going to send you some scripts to read, to look over. And I just want to hear how you do it. I'm not going to direct you, nothing. I just want to see where you're at.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm not going to lie to you, man.
He's a star.
This boy is probably better than me. And I bull jive you not. I bullshit you not. This dude is probably better than me. Like, he naturally. So I think I told you, I have an issue when it comes to doing the natural read.
That conversational that's everywhere right now.
Yeah, the conversational it was a struggle for me. Of course, I get training in it, and I'm working on it all the time. I work with a coach on it.
Well, it's harder. It's harder than somebody than you may expect if you hear it really from people who are not in VO and like haven't had to try to do a conversational read. When the script is something like, hey, we're selling bubbly lollipops, and like they'll make you feel bubbly on the inside, bubbly on the outside. It's like, how do you make that sound like you're just casually bringing that up in a conversation?
I don't say that because I don't speak that way. So it's hard to get out of your head with it. And for me, I need coaching for that. I have coaching to help me with that. My son would get the script and it's just like that. And I said, okay, he might actually be good at this. And so Richard came to me and said, I have a part for a kid that I need to cast to play as your son for this flashback scene. And I said, my son, he does VO. Very interested in VO. And Richard is one of those people, I'm going to be honest with you. He don't care that he is my son in a sense where I'm going to put him in a film because he's your son. He has to audition just like everybody else. I'm like, I'm good with that. Good. Because that gives my son an opportunity to see how this business works. Like, they'll hear me audition and stuff all the time. Like, they hear me. But I put him in the booth. I said, these are the lines. This is what you need to do. Go at it. I only had to correct him 2-3 times. What you heard in that final product, what you heard in that final recording was what he did on his third take.
That's awesome.
And I sent it to Richard. Richard called me. Okay, normally we just communicate through the messenger and everything. He called me and he said, my wife is usually hard to please when it comes to, his girl is really hard to please when it comes to things like that, and rightfully so, because this is a project that they're both very serious about. He said when she heard it, she was like, oh my goodness, and he said he was just floored. And he said, how long has your son been doing VO? I said, this is his first project. This is his first project. And he was like, man, he said, your son may end up taking over. I said he might, because
he should.
Then
Dad can kick back and Dad can kick back and just handle the business side of things.
Look, he not only did he call to talk to me, he wanted to call and talk to my son. And so, I put Noah on the phone, and Noah's very personal. His personality is just mega, and he's talking to him, and I heard him start laughing. He's like, no, Dad is still the one. He's still the one. And I was like, what did you say to my son, man? And he was like, I just told him that he might be taking over the throne one day. I said, hey, one day, when I hang up the mic. I hang up the mic. But yeah, man. So that's how my son got involved. And I like I said, I don't talk about my family much. I had to post about that because that is that one dad moment that we all dream of, is for our kids to be better than us. Any parent who doesn't want their child to be better than them need to reevaluate, because I want all 3 of my kids to be better, to supersede me. I just hope that my wife and I lay the proper foundations so that they can flourish and grow, but our goal is for them to be better than us, to show them to navigate the paths so they don't have to go through some of the things that we went through. So anyway, that's how my son got into it, and he's been auditioning. He's got an agent now, and
that's awesome. Oh my gosh, Eli, that's so freaking sweet.
He was this close to getting a Gatorade commercial, and every time I see the commercial, I'm like, man, I personally think, and no knock on anybody else's kid at all, I don't do that. I think my son would have done exceptionally well with it.
Yeah.
And the reason that he didn't is they wanted someone that was 13 and at least 13, and that was SAG. They were willing to do waivers.
Yeah.
But it's easier for them if someone is already union.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
it's just a matter of time, though. I mean, as you know, like with being in the industry, it's just, I mean, there's still things that I'm, so many things. Like I sometimes I forget how long I've been doing this, but also how short it's been. It's only, at the end of this year will be 5 years, and it really, there are so many things that you just have to be patient for, and it sucks because that's the last thing anybody wants to hear when they're starting something new is like, oh, you just have to wait. But there are some things where you have to, and you have got to be patient. And as long as you're like sticking around and you're still doing everything the right way, you're working hard, you're getting your name and face and voice out there, it'll happen. And it sounds like you are laying those foundations for your kids to supersede y'all, but that he'll be on the airwaves soon.
And you said the perfect thing is the patience, and that is the hard part, especially when there's projects that you really want to do. Yep. One of my goals, and I don't mind, tooting my horn just a little bit. Yeah. I've always wanted to work for Disney. There's Disney, Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft. There's people on the top of my list. Disney, of course, is one of them.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would be working with Disney and the direct connection that I have with them. Because everything I do with them is on the ESPN side at this point. We just finished up doing the Warrior games last week. That was I think that's the biggest project outside of, being the brand voice for Manscaped and Icy Hot and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
All those other wonderful projects. I love working with those clients, man. Doing the Warrior games was probably one that hit home a little bit more for me because it dealt with ill, wounded, injured veterans and active duty soldiers. And it's an Invictus. It was like the Invictus games.
Yeah.
But with American soldiers. And initially, I was supposed to just voice the promo for it, because I've been working with Disney going on a year now directly. And I was supposed to do just the promo, that's it. And they came back to me and they said, look, are you available next week? I'm like, yeah, which day? The entire week. I said, yeah, of course I'm available. They had me do recordings every day for every sport that was going on, for every event.
That's
and
so
then
dope.
not only that, and I haven't posted it yet, I'll start posting some of those things because they just sent it to me. And I didn't even ask for this, they said, send me some pictures of you when, some military pictures. So I sent them my pictures. They gave me closing credits for the entire show as the voice for it. And it put up my military pictures and everything.
Eli.
And I'm like, yo, that really touched me. And
That's
I'll
really
be posting
special.
all that too. But to have someone like Disney do that for you and to get the praise that you get from them, they said, we got a lot of stuff lined up for you.
Yeah.
Is like a dream come true for me. And I just got connected to the animated side of Disney.
Congratulations.
And now
Yeah.
nothing, and so there's nothing on the plate for me on the animation side yet. It's the way Disney works. It's different. The departments are separate. It's just that the executive that I deal with on the ESPN side has some pull, of course. And when I got connected to this person on the animation side, he sought him out and decided to send him a letter on my behalf. So it really meant a whole lot. And I say this to say, when you work with clients, go above and beyond for them. Do the extra. Show them that their project matters, that it's not about you, that it's about what they do. Because I'm genuinely that guy that, is humbled and appreciative of what I get. So I'm forever grateful and thankful to all the clients that I work with, because they didn't have to choose me. So I make it known to them, I'm available to you. If you need something adjusted, if you need something changed, I'm here. You want one take, I'm sending you 3 or 4 takes, just so you can have options. Go above and beyond for them, and it will pay itself forward.
Yeah, I love that. What a way to wrap up, Eli. That was like such a beautiful crescendo into like a beautiful finale.
Oh, I didn't plan it that way.
Thank you so much
for
for making time to come on here and do this. It's always fun when we get to talk, and I always look forward to it. I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you to wrap up everything officially here. So just 1 to 2 word answers, whatever comes to your mind first.
Okay.
What is a nickname that your parents used to call you?
KB, which stood for koala bear, because I was always either hanging on the door handles and swinging,
so
or I was hanging
cute.
on my dad's leg, so KB. And then
I love it.
After that, I was called Arcade, because I was always in the arcade.
I love that. KB and Arcade. What is a piece of content that you are consuming and you can't get enough of right now?
Okay. Geez. I don't know.
Could be a
You
TV show,
talking about
book.
like food? Oh, anything.
Yeah, content it could be a movie, it can be a TV series, it could be a book.
Okay. This is all right. This is going to sound like a shameless plug. Jitsu Squad, the game that I'm in.
Amazing.
If you've not played Jitsu Squad, it is like an old school 4-player beat 'em up, but it is so high powered and intense that it's nonstop action. So like my kids and I, I got an arcade at my house, and
Awesome.
Jitsu Squad is on there. We play it all the time because it's such an intense, high powered game. I
Love
voice
it.
Jazz and Moon in that game.
Amazing. Who inspires you right now?
From the VO side, Keith David is the guy that inspires me the most.
Okay.
Just because he's a part of my childhood from Gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's one of those underrated performers. We know who he is, but he's not a global name like that to people.
Yeah.
Keith David is an inspiration to me. That
Awesome.
because of his backstory.
Yeah.
And Sam
last
Jackson,
question.
I'm sorry.
And
Samuel
Sam
L.
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yes.
Yes.
A little known indie, he's done a couple of small films, here and there.
The thing that inspires me most about him, even though I've never had a drug issue, Samuel L. Jackson came from being a drug addict and doing film. You have to, and one of his first roles was playing a crackhead.
Yep.
It takes strength to do that.
Yeah. No,
So-
he's a badass in more than one way. All right, last question. You can only have pizza one more time. Where from and what's on it?
We have a place here called Chinello's Pizza.
Okay.
And their pizzas are so bomb. And they have this chicken florentine pizza that has tomatoes, spinach, mushrooms. So Chinello's chicken florentine pizza.
Done deal. Eli Harris, thank you so much for making time. And I look forward to another one of our chats that I'm sure we'll be having soon. And congrats on wrapping the project with Disney. That's really freaking cool and so well deserved.
Thank you, Tim. I'll be posting that stuff up soon. So
great. Yeah, everybody keep an eye out for it. And I'll post in the description on where people can find you on social media and all that.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me, man. I've been waiting to have this chat with you.
Yeah, me too. It's awesome. I'm glad that we made it happen. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Second Cup with my friend Eli Harris. To stay up to date on the boatload of projects Eli has going on, connect with him on LinkedIn and follow him on Instagram at mr.eli.harris. That's mr.eli.harris on Instagram. This show is recorded and produced by Tim Heller Creative, LLC. If you enjoyed this episode or any of the others, I invite you to show support in any of the following ways. First is by sharing episode links on social media and tagging at Tim Heller Creative. Second is by rating, subscribing, and leaving reviews in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume podcasts. And finally, if you want to support financially, you can Venmo at Tim Heller Creative or reach out to me via email at tim@timhellercreative.com to discuss sponsoring one or several episodes. All funds will be used directly to improve the show and provide the best experience for guests and listeners alike. Tune in next time for another incredible conversation and hopefully to learn something new from a really cool person. Bye.